What's up guys, it's Bastian here coming at you with another Gundam War deck profile. This time I'm picking up the thread, showing you some of my previous decks. We're gonna have a look at my red Psychomu deck. Let's jump into it. So first of all, starting with units, I run 3 Gaza C. This is I think this is a pretty good little turn 1 drop, 201. It can transform into a high mobility 002, which can be useful in some cases, just getting that extra life, or block a high mobility unit that our opponent has perhaps as a threat. Yeah, there are some obviously perhaps better cards. Cattle is another good one drop for red, but I haven't got any cattle, so I'm running the 3 Gaza C there. For turn 2, we have 3 copies of Danan Zon. I really like the look of this unit. I think it's pretty cool. It's a 202 for turn 2, 1 energy cost here again. It's got special shield 1. It's not really, I think special shield 1 is a bit underpowered in this game, but it's an okay little card. We can't use its effect. We haven't got any warriors with family or characters with family in the deck. It's just a solid 202 with a special shield 1, just to get some early drop, early defense. We also have 2 copies of Mindra. This is mostly in there for the supply effect. It's a star 1-2 battleship. The battleship of course can be good. We can drop it as well as dropping one of the main suits, but again it's mostly there for that supply effect. And we do have one character that can buff battleship, so that is also like our nice little combo there. We got 3 copies of Gyaradoga. I really like the art on this card, and I'm super blessed to have 3 foils actually. I think that's pretty cool. It's nothing special. I mean, obviously red isn't exactly super hot on the stats with most of their cards. It's turn 3 drop, costs you 2 energy as well, but it does draw you a card at the end of the turn when you play this unit. It's a free 1-2. It's okay, and we may be able to buff it up a little bit, as you will see. We also run 2 copies of Rulura, our main battleship for the deck. It's 241. I'm actually glad that this is only a 1 cost. You can only go to space, so you kind of want to use your Mindra for Earth supply support. The Rulura will come in and give you support in space. And it also has a really cool effect in your attack step. 1 cost for each attempt, up to 3 times. It can basically create a sort of like a mirage copy of itself as a 002 unit. So what you want to do is depending how many you need, you just want to stack those up before this guy, and you can basically get yourself plus 6 life for 3 energy with this card, which is okay. If you want to keep that supply effect around, which obviously is greatly beneficial, so you can block obviously with your attackers during their opponent's turn, Rulura is a really good card to get that job done. And then for the Psychomu units, I have 2 copies of Puritus Qubeley Mark II. This little guy is quite expensive, being a 423, and it also has fairly mediocre stats as a 2-1-3. You will need a new type pilot on this guy anyway to use that Psychomu effect. So in a minute we're going to move on to the pilots. I also do have one regular Qubeley, which I think is just a so much better card compared to Puritus, but I only got the 1 copy. And also it is a turn 5 card, so it's, you know, it's our top end card. I mean, if I had more than 1 copy, I would probably run 2, probably even 3, realistically, with some ramping to get this guy out as soon as. It's got Prevent 3, Psychomu 2, and when this card is in the battle area, roll your opponent's unit cards with a set on character card that is damaged by this card's Psycommu. So go up to the battle area, obviously shoot the Psycommu, and then tap that unit. I mean, it's gonna happen because it's an auto D effect, so that's gonna happen. I think this is just such a good, probably the best Psycommu unit that's non-promo. So these are our final units. That was just my speaker dying, so apologies for that. Music should have swapped over to my laptop, so that might make it a little bit more difficult for me to get through. But I'm gonna move on to the characters. We have two Puritus, which is a great character. Um, Obviously, it's a new type, so it's going to trigger the. It's going to be able to use the Psycommu on any one of the two Qubeleys, and it's a 2/2/1 as well. It adds one Psycommu to the unit Psycommu, so it doesn't matter whichever one she goes on, it will be a Psycommu 3 unit, which is pretty good on its own. We also have one Haman Khan, probably the best, the strongest character for red, quite possibly for the entire game. 2/5/1, so again it's a late game card for sure, but it's got 2/2/2 effects. It can also add one shooting point to a battleship, which is also really good. Of course, new type, so it activates the Psycommus. She's got this amazing effect that if a unit doesn't have Psycommu, she will add Psycommu 2 to that unit. And realistically, my target for that is the Gyaradoga. I mean, if she comes on the Gyaradoga is a 5/3/4, which is fairly okay stats-wise, but obviously she will add Prevent 3 to the situation as well. Give it Psycommu 2, you draw a card off it. Just a nice little, cute little play there to go with. We have more new types. In fact, all the characters are new types. We have one guy named Gus for our 3-drop. Doesn't cost any energy, which is really cool. It's a 1/1/1, but it's a new type, so again we can use him for Psycommu effects. And once per turn, we can pay 1 to put a coin on him, and when we really need that, we can actually make a one-time massive Psycommu shot with Gaine on one of the units. So that's really cool as well. The other thing about Puritus Qubeley Mark II is that it's of course not one per player, or it's not restricted anyway, so you can have both of these out. And that's what we're aiming to get to. We also have Mr. Cello here, very similar to Gaine Gus there, 1/1/1, exactly the same cost, but his effect works quite differently. Actually, if you tap a female new type, then he gets a symbol which is a +1/+1/+1. You can remove +1/+1/+1 coins off this character to be able to remove the coin symbolizing +1/+1/+1 from this card at the end of the turn in which this card goes to the battle area. So basically, he can be pumped up with extra. So he's like the muscle, and he's more like the shoot with Psycommu kind of guy. That's why I got like one of each. We can kind of mix and match for the situation that is required. And then finally we got to Nanai Miguel. She can be very good to be tapped for Mishima, and she's also with that +0/+1/+1 battleship booster. She really shines whether she goes onto the Relura or she goes onto Mindra. It doesn't really matter. She's just basically going to make sure that she is there. She can be tapped in case we need the effect for the Cello to be pumped up, but more often than not, she's going to make the Mindra a star 2/3 or the Relura a star 4/6, which is both obviously very strong in its own right. We run 3 operations. Unfortunately, I haven't got the cool little card draw cards. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have some form of a deck rotation ability. Basically, can come out very early You can tap it any point you want. You can look at the top card of your deck, and you can either put it to the top or the bottom. So it basically allows you to scry one for those of you who play Magic the Gathering. And now if you get 2 out, then obviously you can potentially scry 2 card deep or 3 card deep if you really get all 3 out. This is a card that's always good to see, ideally as early as possible. If it's in your starting hand, then by all means do play it, because it's a 1-1-0, so it doesn't cost you anything, and it can give you some form of an advantage. Not card advantage, but at least you can, you know, if you need a generation, you can get your generation. If you need a unit, you can try and dig for a unit. Same for a character, and same for command cards, because we do have quite a big pile of command cards. First of all, let's start with our pump. I'm playing 3 Natural Gift. Again, there probably are better cards, there probably are worse cards, but I thought, let's run a card that can give us additional Psychommune or Psychommune units. Now, you play this card, and all your units with Psychommune will get +2. Now remember that, of course, we do have Qubeley, Puritus Mark IIs, and we also can have a separate unit out, which is piloted by Haman Khan, so we can actually have 4 Psychommune units in play at once. And this Natural Gift will give all of them +2 Psychommune, which is just ridiculously good. It will allow you to really deal some massive chunks of damage to your opponent's units. We run 3 Order of Withdrawal. Now, Order of Withdrawal is just really good. It moves 1 unique card back to its owner's hand. I would run this as a 3 of in any red deck. In fact, any deck that, you know, if you decide to like run red-green, it fits into a red-green deck really nicely as well. It only has 1 red generation requirement. And this can be used to save 1 of your units, or it can be used to bounce 1 of your opponent's units back into their hand. Now again, if you could actually go 2 for 1 with this. If their unit has a character on it, the character jumps back as well into their hands. So it's a really massive tempo play. I think every red deck needs to run 3 of this, because it's really good. And then finally down to the counters. I run a counter package in here. Char's counter attack. I think anybody who plays this game, this card does not need an introduction. Quite possibly the best counter in the game. First of all, it's got Prevent 3. It is a fairly early and cheap counter as well. Now, its ordinary effect is that it can counter 1 command or 1 operation card. But if you reach 5 generations in play and 2 of them are red, then it can also negate a unique card. Send it to the junkyard. It's just really versatile. Again, it's difficult to, for me, it's difficult to build a deck in red that doesn't run at least a handful of, at least a couple of these, but ideally all 3. Now, granted, we're not running the best cards in the game, but this can still be a very important piece in the play. Especially if I had more card draw, this card particularly would absolutely shine. And then finally, I run 2 Manipulation of Infiltration. This is a free counter from turn 3 if you hit your 3rd generation, obviously turn 3 onwards, and it basically negates the play of a unit card. So I thought the most important thing we want to be able to counter are, of course, units, but Char's counterattack is going to make sure that we are countering operations, commands. If something does come down and it does get a character, then Order of Withdrawal can take care of that. And for early game where we can't use Char's counterattack, then we already can use Manipulation of Infiltration to negate the play of unit cards. Worst case scenario, we can of course rely on our Psychommune, although our play group has changed the rules somewhat. Psychommune is only usable if the card is actually up in Earth or space. You can't just do the sniping down from the station area, because it's way too cruel, and it really just launches red out of the reach of pretty much any other deck in the game. And then finally, we're running 13 red generation cards. Pretty unexciting stuff, obviously. I keep saying on and on, this is the Achilles heel of this game. I wish we would have seen some later sets. Some Japanese generations have really become versatile. When you can play them, you can search your deck for X, Y, or Z. So it's not just a heavy piece of bulk that's you need it to play your cards, but they don't really do anything else besides that. So this is my deck profile for Red Psycho Mew. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little deck profile, and hopefully I will have some Gundam War game videos up in hopefully coming this summer, 2021 summer, and then you guys can obviously have a little more of an understanding of how this game plays if you tune into my channel. Up until next time, guys, was Saiyan signing out. Peace.